Hey, Charger History. Today's essential question is, what was it like to live in an early agricultural community? Please pause your video and copy down this essential question at the top of your notebook page. This week we've been talking about the big change that happened when humans began to farm instead of hunt and gather. We started with the geographical features necessary for farming, and we moved into the ways that farming created a trade economy. Remember that this big change did not happen all at once, but happened gradually, over about 3,000 years, moving at different speeds in different places. These are the 4 geographical features that are totally necessary for farming to happen. You always need to have fresh water, most importantly, both for people to drink and also for them to water their crops. You always need fertile soil, which is second most important. You need level, flat land so that it's easy to plant your seeds. And you need a mild climate so that your seeds are taken care of in the right temperature, not too hot, not too cold. Today we're going to talk about what it was like to actually live in these farming communities. I'm talking about the everyday kind of stuff that regular people worry about, the stuff that we worry about even today. Like, what am I going to wear? What am I going to eat for dinner? What kind of house do I want? Well, let's find out what it was like to live in these times. Let's start with food. Where hunter-gatherers had to search for plants and animals and spend all their time doing that, Neolithic people had their food right outside their door. Neolithic people ate domesticated animals, such as cows and pigs and chickens. They even had dogs for companions, but I don't think they ate those. They ate that stuff just like we do today. They also cultivated crops. This is called barley. They also planted rice fields in certain parts of the world, like China. They also planted wheat, fruits, and vegetables, just like we do. Please pause your video and copy your first topic, food, into your notes. List the examples of foods eaten after the agricultural revolution. Now for clothing. With all the free time the farming communities had, they were able to invent much more sophisticated types of clothing than just animal skin and grass. A simple machine called the loom was invented. This is a loom. It allowed people to spin cloth out of plant material. We still use looms today to make fabrics like cotton, but they're very different than the prehistoric looms like this one. Here's a loom more like what you might see today, and here's a loom that's modeled after the Neolithic type of looms. So they're a lot different, but they do the same thing. They take plant material, like cotton plants, and turn it into fabric, like cotton t-shirts. Not only did people use plant materials like cotton, they also used domesticated animal materials. They used wool that came from sheep. They used silk, which actually came from the silkworm. And in China, people didn't tell the secret about how to make silk from silkworms for thousands of years. The Chinese people were the only ones that knew how to get this kind of fabric out of this little worm. Go ahead and copy down the idea for clothing. We're talking about fabric made from silk, wool, cotton, which are all from domesticated plants and animals. You don't need to copy down the shelter stuff yet. We'll come right back to that. Please pause if you need more time just to copy clothing. Here are some examples of Neolithic shelters. Neolithic societies had permanent shelters. Permanent means it stays around for a long time, it doesn't go away. They could have shelters like this because they didn't need to move around anymore like a nomad. So their houses need to be sturdy and able to last for a long time. They made houses out of bricks from mud. They used hard materials like chalk and clay or rocks. They made roofs out of grasses or other materials that could keep the rain out. Now go ahead and copy your topic shelter and the details about Neolithic shelters. Press pause if you need more time. As for tools, the early farmers invented new tools that would make farming easier to grow more food. Some important farm tools were the scythe and the sickle. Here's a sickle, here's a scythe, notice the blade. They were made by sharp stones, and both of them let farmers cut down more plants quickly instead of just yanking them out with their hands. This helped in harvesting their crops. Farmers also ground up their grains to make flour with stones. But the most important tool of all was the plow. Here's a picture of the plow. The plow is meant to till up the soil or work up the dirt to help make it easier to plant seeds in. This was definitely the hugest improvement in farming, and so we're going to spend a whole day talking about the plow tomorrow. Lastly, fire. Early farmers used fire in many of the same ways that Paleolithic people did. They used fire to stay warm and to keep predators away. They also used it to cook their food, but they had one more use for it that early nomads did not have, called slash and burn farming. Farmers used slash and burn farming to clear their fields to have even more room for planting, just like we talked about on Tuesday. Go ahead and copy one last topic, slash and burn farming. And that means that farmers were burning their trees or burning trees on land to make more room for farmland. Press pause if you need more time to copy. This domesticated cow says it's time for you to get to work on your practice. Please X out of this tab and go back to your playlist.